Good morning and welcome back to Life on Lupine. My name is Chelsea if you're new here, and in today's video I'm going to take you on a tour of my garden. It's been about 10 days since my last garden tour, and I think it's time because stuff has just exploded and it looks so beautiful, and so I want to take you along and show you some of the growth. So let's get in. The first space that I usually start with, there's my dog Archie. He's inspecting the tomatoes this morning. This is a new raised bed that I added, and I do plan to add 2 more here, and I will move these pots, but for this year I needed to use the pots because I don't have the raised beds yet. And so in this bed I have 3 watermelons. They're the Orangelo watermelons. I don't know how well this will this will work out because they are so close together, but I had extra plants and I was not going to let them go to waste. So if I can try to have them grow there and maybe get a watermelon, that would be great. And then these are the Wild Boar Farms, some new breeds of tomatoes that he released this year. One called Showstopper and one called Eye Candy. And I have about 5 of those plants there. And then down there are the floret zinnias. Not zinnias, the dahlias. I always call them zinnias. The floret dahlias are down there, and it's just like a smattering of many different ones. I don't know which is which. I just kind of planted them all out, and so we'll see what comes of that. And then these 5 peppers are all hybrids, and the 2 over there. So 7 peppers are a hybrid pepper called Carmen that was recommended by a couple homesteaders that I follow, and I thought I wanted to give it a shot because it seems like it's prolific and it can be used as a bell pepper, which I find bell peppers don't really produce that many per plant. So I'm hoping this will be that these will be a good substitute for that. And then the rest are all tomatoes. The 2 in the back are Kellogg's Breakfast, I believe. And then I have a Cherokee Purple, I want to say is that one in the middle. And then the 2 in the front here are pineapple. And then the 2 in the middle are the same, but I do not remember what they are. So again, we're just going to see on a couple of those. I do have a list of what I planted initially, so once I see the fruit, I may be able to identify what tomato that is. And then these are a hybrid, or this is a hybrid called Sakura, and I just, this is my first year trying a hybrid tomato, and then, aside from Sun Gold, I guess. And then this is my little green stalk full of strawberries. I did end up pulling off some small tiny strawberries that were forming on some of the smaller plants, and this was before I realized that I needed to do that, I guess, to help them be more productive. And I let some of them just already fruit, and they're pretty decent sized on most of them, but some of them were super tiny and the plants are pretty smallish. So I don't know, I read that you should pull off that fruit, so and it will help them produce better down the road. So that's what I did. And these are doing lovely in here. I think I will definitely plant more strawberries and green stalks. These are the thornless, I want to say blackberries. I don't know the exact type, but our neighbors gave us these. They have a whole fence line of them, and they definitely need to go in the ground. We planted 3. You can see over there I have another one to plant. We planted 3 grape plants, 2 of the Concord Blue and 1 of the Himrod, and I have 1 more Himrod white seedless to plant. And then this is a little greenhouse. It's not full, it doesn't have anything in it aside from just my pots and stuff. And then this is the second green stalk that I have, and it is full of mostly herbs. And then this bottom 4 rows or 4 tiers, I planted Blue Lake bush beans, and so nothing has sprouted with the beans so far, so we'll see kind of what that does. We are having some pretty high temperatures this week in the 90s, so I'm not sure how that will affect germination on them. But we have some lemon, cilantro in here. We have many types of basil. I have dill down here. And then I have cumin, I believe, coming in right here. That was another that I planted. And I do have thyme. I feel like this looks more like thyme than basil. So this may be where I put the thyme. And then this is turning into sage. So I kind of planted a smattering of herbs in this green stock because I would love to dehydrate some herbs and make my own blends. It may take more herbs than that to do that, but I will have at least lots of fresh basil for tea. And then this is another Sakura tomato that's a hybrid that came highly recommended. And then in this first raised bed is lots and lots of lemon citrus basil. I've already made lemon basil tea. I did do a little short showing how I made that tea. It's very, very easy. And then I have marigolds that are definitely starting to blossom, and I cannot wait to see them. I think these were the African marigold mix, so I'm not sure what colors. I'm assuming they're going to be like an orange, like the packet, but we'll see. And then these are floret zinnias. I did end up pinching this top part right here because it was already wanting to put off a flower, and I didn't want that because the stem is so short. I'd have to like cut the whole plant off just to get that one flower. And so now it has put off some side shoots, and so I'm hoping that they get some like length on them, and then I will get better cut flowers as the season progresses. This is more lemon citrus basil. It's kind of a theme throughout these three raised beds because I started so much, and I actually wish I would have started more in retrospect. So already thinking about things for next year. These three tomatoes are Sun Gold, which is my favorite cherry tomato, and they're looking really lovely. I did come through and take off all the suckers out of the armpits of the plant. You can see one like kind of wanting to form in there, and I just pull those out and try to keep them to a single stem until they get like towards the middle of the season. They will get up to the top of this tomato cage, and then after that I kind of let them go, and then I'll have like a big bush up here just full of tomatoes. But I try to keep the lower portion of them very lean because it just helps with disease. And then more basil. And then here's some more sun golds, and I put them in rather small pots, so we're gonna kind of see how they do. My mom thinks they'll do okay. I think they need a little bit bigger pots than that, but you know what, we're gonna roll with it. And then over here I have a roselle hibiscus, and I really am concerned that this pot is not going to sustain that either, because when I started to read about roselle, the plants get really, really big, and I apparently thought that pot was appropriate. So we're gonna see how that goes. And then this is another Carmen pepper. I have them all right here as well. I think I have a total of maybe 12 Carmen peppers in my raised beds. And then this is another sun gold. So I have a lot of sun gold tomatoes this season. And then you'll see some new additions within the beds. And then over here, these are my cucumbers. And another sad thing with the cucumbers is they said if or at least what I read, is if the plant is not at least 3 feet long or tall, however you want to look at it, that you shouldn't allow it to try to produce fruit. So I have been actually pulling these off because the plants are just so small still. So I'm hoping I'm doing the right thing because I have yet to have success with cucumbers. This is my 3rd season in these raised beds and no luck with cucumbers yet. So hoping those do well. And then over here, it's mainly peppers. In this bed is the predominant piece. I think there's 12 or 13 pepper plants in this bed. These 5 are the Craig's Grande Jalapeno. And then these ones, which I think are looking very beautiful, are Sugar Rush Peach. So I have 5 of those. And then lots of basil interplanted with them. That's a random pepper. I don't know what it is. These are all random tomatoes that I kind of just stuck in where I could because I ran out of space and pots, and I was just like, I'm not gonna let these go to waste. They were planted at the same time as all the other tomatoes that you've been seeing, so some of them are way bigger. So I'm considering this like a succession planting for my tomatoes, because some of them got stunted because I was like, I had analysis paralysis on like what to do with them. And then I want to say these are Sugar Rush Red. They're just so small. I don't know what it's going to do really. And then some more of the cucumbers. The cucumber variety, all of it is the same in my garden this season. And I went with a hybrid from Johnny's called Mojito. And so we're going to see how that one does. And then this is calendula, which is finally starting to seem like it's taken off a little. This is chamomile, Roman chamomile or German. I think it's German chamomile. And I actually read that chamomile doesn't love heat, and I'm approaching 90 and 100 degree temperatures, so that might not do so well. But you learn as you grow. And then this is more floret zinnias. I want to say it's Alpen Glow, which was probably the most that I planted of in these 3 raised beds that I'm showing you now. And then I have another bed I'll show you that's full of unicorn mix. And then just more mojito cucumbers. I think they're looking so cute. But again, I so want to leave this to hopefully turn into a cucumber, but this plant is barely over 12 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the fruit off because it's just going to suck the life out of the plant. And then I just keep checking them. This one's getting a pretty decent size. It's probably 2 feet. I'm going to let it go a little bit longer. And I've been weaving them through this trellis in hopes that they will go up this arch trellis and over. And then I'll have like, the Pinterest photo vibe of cucumbers hanging, hopefully. If not, we'll try again. This tomato has surprised me. This was planted very much, and I gotta keep training it up. This was planted probably second to those sun golds down there in size. And this one just exploded. This is a Dr. Wyche's yellow, and it has just exploded. It does have some kind of little pest damage a little, and I have been like coming out and pulling off these suckers because I like to keep the bottom portion of the plant clean until it gets, like I said, to the top of the tomato cage, and then I kind of let it go wild. And then obviously zinnias, another random little pepper that was a straggler that I planted. That's some celosia. It already tried to flower. I don't know, I haven't had any luck with celosia. That's from Floret. I think it's the sangria mix. And then these are a hybrid called Mexicana from Johnny's. I think both of these are the Mexicana. And I have never plucked like the tiny fruits off of a zucchini, even if it's small like this. And I was also reading that people said, oh, if it's less than 2 foot by 1 foot tall or whatever, you should like pull off the fruits. And I was like, no, probably not doing that. Because I've never had to do that, and this is a hybrid, so I'm just gonna roll with it and see how it goes, because it is already getting these really cute little zucchinis, and we'll see. I've never plucked off fruit from a zucchini, no matter how small it was, and I've always gotten lots of zucchini, so I don't know how true that statement is. But these are some random tomatoes that I had left over. They're starting to look a little bit better. They were really sad. This zinnia, I don't know what it's doing, but it's okay. It's hanging in there. And then this was one of the squash. I think it's the spineless perfection. I don't see a lot of female blossoms, but it got eaten down to nubs by squirrels, and then it did come back. So we're gonna see how that one does. Same thing with another one over here. Oh no. Oh, that has an infestation of something already. Ugh. I think it's aphids, of course. Right there. Do you see all of them? Well, that's fun. I will have to blast that with water because that is crazy. And these are hybrids, so I have never seen that on my non-hybrid squash. Like, I've never gotten aphids like that. So definitely gonna blast that off. And then this one, who's already been eaten down to nothing, is covered. So I'm gonna have to look up what I can put on those, or I'll probably just blast them off with water and see if that helps at all. This is some cilantro. I think I got too ambitious, hoping that it would stay cool in my area long enough to get some kind of harvest from this. I can come out and pick the little, like some little individual leaves, and I have, but it's just not going to thrive. Cilantro doesn't love the heat, and we've gotten so hot so fast. So probably just going to let that go. Obviously it'll probably go to seed, and I'll just let it reseed in there, and then it can just be a cilantro bed when it's ready to come up, when it's not as hot. And then these are my dahlias. I think they're finally, if you look at my other garden video, maybe I'll try to insert some clips of stuff before and after to kind of show how much it's grown. But these calendula plants are finally taking off a little bit. Zinnia is still looking a little sad and small, but that's okay, it'll get bigger. And then these are finally seeming like they're doing something. I did fertilize. I don't know if that helped or not, but they're looking a little bit better. I planted these recently as well. I'm calling it a succession of sweet potatoes because when I bought my sweet potato starts, these look like sad little sticks with nothing on them. Like, I'm like, this is not going to do anything. I put them in the water and I just kind of left them there, and I was changing it daily after I planted these. And these have all really taken off. If you look at the other garden tour where they were included, they definitely have put on way more leaves and stuff. So I'm hoping that that's a sign they're doing well. And then these have already put on a couple extra leaves as well. So hopefully that'll be a little succession planting of sweet potatoes. And then over here, these watermelons are finally starting to get some really nice growth. I have them covered because I have a squirrel problem. And they ate my other melons. And then these are also Orangelo, the orange fleshed watermelon. So is that one over there. And they're finally starting to really take off. And then this one is a melon. I want to say this is a Kajari melon. I don't know how it's going to do in this size pot. But again, I had no other space. I mean, I guess I could put it over there once it gets a little bigger maybe. And it'll do fine. And then these are all tomatoes. But I planted these before I dug those, or my husband dug those trenches. And I have stuff to show you over there as well. And then this is another floret zinnia. It could be unicorn, or I started a little bit of everything. And then these are just more tomatoes that are random. And then these are a bell pepper, we think, that my mom bought at a plant sale. She thought they were something else, not even a pepper, but I'm like, nope, these are definitely peppers. So we think that they are red bell pepper, but we'll see. I planted them anyway. And then we'll show you some of the new additions that I added since the last garden tour that I'm trying, and we're gonna see how it works out. So over here, I wanted to grow, Archie, please do not dig those. Thank you. Come on, go over there. Thank you. We wanted to plant some winter squash, and I need a lot of room, which, I mean, I have a lot of room. But I didn't have like any, in-ground spaces dug or anything like that. So I'm like, you know what? I have the soil. I'm just going to make little mounds. I probably should have made them bigger in retrospect, but that's fine. I planted in this row, I planted honey nut. squash, and then we'll see how that goes, because I really want to try those because I love winter squash. And then in this one, it is spaghetti squash. And then this one is actually the long pie pumpkin, I think it's called, and I'll insert a photo. But long pie pumpkin is going there. We'll see what comes up. I have been trying when I water to make sure that the straw stays out around here, because this is where I put the seeds, so they don't have any super like trouble coming up. And then finally, so this is a project I have to work on probably today. I almost gave up, but I didn't. I kept watering. My dog had come through and like trampled the row right here and walked in it, and I had a squirrel out here, and then I had some birds out here, so I'm like, okay, they have eaten the corn seed, like it's over. And then yesterday, finally, I came out, and there are cute, sweet little baby corn growing up. This is a little close, but that's okay. And I have it all down this row, all down that row. It's all coming up now, and I'm so excited, and I'm so glad I didn't give up and just like stop watering, because I thought, oh my gosh, it's been so many days, it's not gonna come up. My dog trampled this row. I thought, wow, he has pushed those seeds to the other side of the earth. They will never push through that soil. Well, proof that that is not true. And so I'm so excited, and I want to weed down the edge of the bed. I did get some weed barrier for a temporary solution for this season only, and then I'm going to pull it out, and we're going to till this area and put a little fence around it, hopefully, and make it like my dedicated, I'll back up and show you what I mean. I want to make it a dedicated in-ground space. I might plant beans in those last 2 rows and maybe try to add a couple more. I'm not sure, because I do have a long growing season, so I still have time to do some of that. But I want to put a little fence coming like out here, and then over and down, and then back over to there and around. So I don't know if I'll fence the back portion. Maybe though, because my dog will run down and into it and through all of my stuff like he does. He's already tried to dig the edges of my mounds. He loves to investigate. So I definitely would like to do that, and I do want to put like a gate here with a little arbor, like archway that I can plant like a rose on, or something like a vine that creeps over a trellis, and just have it be a beautiful in-ground garden space, because we have obviously the raised bed garden to this side. And then now I will show you, and maybe I'll walk you around and show you some of my random plants. There's some boxes that blew over. Anyway, this is real life. I'm not trying to make everything look super aesthetic, because my life is very much not aesthetic all the time. I do love aesthetics, but I don't always obtain aesthetics. Okay, so these are my onions, and these are looking super great. So I did go through and spoon all of them. They are starting to bulb up a bit, if I can get my angle correct here, but they are starting to bulb up pretty nicely. I have blush onions in here. It's like a combination that I bought from Dixondale, but they are starting to bulb up, and I'm so excited. This is my 3rd season growing onions, and I've had a lot of success with onions. I buy the starts from Dixondale Farms, and I will continue to do that because it's the easiest for me anyway. No fuss. I get them in the mail. I plant them out as soon as I get them. I'm good to go. And then these are the floret zinnias. All of these are, except for that one, that might be Alpenglow, but all of these are the unicorn mix. And so we're gonna see how these do. I have never successfully grown a floret zinnia. I grew Queen Lime Red last year, and I just fell in love with that one, and I don't think I got any Queen Lime Red planted this season, so kind of bummed about that, but oh well. I have more time. And this is a little floret dahlia as well. I don't know which one it is, but I'll know kind of maybe when it opens which one. So these are my onions. I should harvest these probably like late June, early July, I think is when I harvested them. I harvested them last season, so we'll just see on that. And then over here, let's see. Over here I have, and I don't have tons and tons of followers for lots of input, but I have these really small citrus trees. Now I read that I should remove these on really young citrus trees, and then I get conflicting information that says I should leave them, and it just had so many, so I did pull some, and then I read you shouldn't, and then I read you should. So I'm kind of just like, what do I do with this guy? He's always looked kind of beat up since I got him. His little leaves came like this. I probably should just like cut these off so he'll get some new ones. And then so I have 3 of those citrus plants. This is a car orange, and it's actually trying to put on oranges, and it's so small that I feel like I should not allow it to do that. So if you have any input on allowing citrus to get fruit this young, definitely let me know, because it is growing little baby oranges, and I feel like that's gonna suck a lot of energy from this small plant. But I could be wrong. I am no expert in citrus. This is my first time ever trying to grow them. This one I did pull off all but I think 1 blossom. This one has always had an issue, and I'm not sure. Since I got it, it's always had like turned in leaves. It just kind of came that way. So I think I may cut those off and just see if that helps it at all. I don't know, not a citrus expert, so definitely need some help in the citrus area. We did recently complete this planter, and then I just have 2 tea roses that I need to deadhead. They're looking pretty sketchy. I need to come through and just take all that off, and then they'll get another flush of beautiful little roses. And then that's a new oak tree. This is a pool that we took down. It finally said no thanks and popped after about 6 years. It had got a huge slit down the side, and we woke up to it gone. So that was unfortunate. My little dog Archie out there. And then, let's see, I have 2 patio tomatoes, which are Wild Boar Farms. I don't think he's advertising them as patio, but they only get 12 to 20 inches, so I thought I could fit 2 in this pot. We'll see. That's my favorite little succulent. I said a whole spiel about him in the last garden tour, and how lovely he is and how much neglect he has survived. He is 8 years old. No, maybe 7. I feel like he's 8 years old. Like, we got him as like a housewarming gift, and we've been here for 8 years. So I want to say he's pretty close to 8 years old. And then I have this bougainvillea that I was so proud of. I cut it back, put it in my greenhouse. I think I said that in the last tour. And it does seem to be kind of finally starting to branch out again this season. And then over here, I have a pretty rose that my mom got me many years ago. And it's super, super cute. It does need a bigger pot, or I need to plant it in the ground, but I just like it where it's at, but it definitely needs a bigger pot. This is the pepper that I put here. I have no idea which pepper it is. It was a random little one. These zinnias, they're just not doing much. I may end up replanting this with something else, because they got kind of leggy, and then they're just not, I don't want to pull them out, but I also am like, okay, I don't feel like you're doing anything, so they might need to go. And then this one it needs to be deadheaded because it just had a bunch of blooms on it. But this is a Tangerine Skies Arbor Rose. And I got it from, I forget the name of the website, but I'll like put a little screenshot or something of it over this when I'm editing. But it's beautiful when it opens, and I love it. I would like to get 1 or 2 of these when I do the garden area that I said, and just kind of have that growing over that entrance to the in-ground garden. And then this is a new bougainvillea. It's a Miami pink, which it's kind of purple, but it's beautiful. It does feel very like Miami sunny, beachy vibe, so that name is fitting. And then this is a little faux pomegranate, which I love, and it's really taken off this season. And then this is another hibiscus, And then after reading they got big, I'm like, okay, you need a tomato cage, but they're growing rather small, so I'm not sure. And then this is a bear lemon tree. I think it's bear's, yeah. Bear's lime tree. And my father-in-law got me that. It was really bad. I do need to trim some of it up from the base of it, but it got hammered by some hail, and I thought that it was gone because it like lost its leaves, most of them, and the rest of them were just beat up and yellow, and it was messed up. So I cut everything off of it and was like, okay, if you can recover from that, awesome. And then it just got all new leaves, so excited for that. This is a little crepe myrtle that's kind of just struggled there. We have really hard clay. It does okay, but I kind of don't know if he'll last there forever. And then I'll walk over and finish it back at the beginning and show you the grape plants, which are not doing just a whole heck of a lot so far, but I literally just planted them. So this is a hemrod grape. It is getting little shoots coming out of it. That was happening inside. That's why I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get these planted. So we dug these holes, and as you can see, our dirt is very much clay. So we'll see how they do here. We did dig a pretty good size hole. It's very deep, probably at least 1.5 feet deep. So we're hoping they do well there. We do plan, if needed, to attach like a pole here and then another cattle panel so that they can grow like up higher and do all of that. So that is the garden tour. I am so excited to see how this turns out. This is the most tomato plants I've grown. I've never grown successfully cucumbers, so really hopeful for that. I've never grown a ton of herbs aside from the lemon basil, so that green stalk of like all the different herbs is super exciting to me. I mean, it's all so exciting. I've never grown hibiscus. I have grown peppers, but last year squirrels decimated my pepper patch before I could really get them. So we're just gonna see how it goes, and I'm gonna go head over to those squash because it's been on my mind this whole time. Oh, this is a little nasturtium. Really, really cute. I think it's Alaska Jewel Mix, I think is the name. And I'm going to head over and blast off some aphids off of those squash because that is an insane infestation out of nowhere, like overnight. Because I walk this garden every single day. Even when I'm not doing a garden tour, I am inspecting everything daily. So that definitely happened overnight. I'm gonna go deal with that. And thank you so much for sticking around if you did for this whole video. Like, subscribe, share if you would like to. I definitely thank you to all who have subscribed. I think at the time of recording this video, I'm sitting at like 44 subscribers, which is so exciting. And I look forward to making many more videos for you guys. So until next time, take care.